Hello, hello. I am so excited to be doing this topic with you guys all today. It's going to be a good one, and we've got a guest coming in as we dive into in a little bit later here. But today we're going to be talking about visibility strategies that's going to really help you land more stages and land more clients. So that's where we're going. As you guys are logging on, please just drop into the notes into the chat box where you're joining us from, what your name is, what you do, just so people can kind of know who's in the room. That's always a good thing to get it going as we kick off. And I love this topic. This is a topic near and dear to my heart. I feel like we've got whenever we are getting visible and we're putting our voices out in the world, it really creates a ripple effect of how we're showing up and what we're really wanting to make happen in the world. And so that's what we're going to be diving in today. It's like, are you ready to be seen, heard, and in demand? So drop your name and your what you do and just where you're joining us from as you're logging on. And we're going to kick off because we've got a lot to cover. Later on in this call, my good friend Paula Friedland will be joining us, and she'll be part of the community here that will be she'll be sharing some things that's around how we speak from our soul. She is someone who's been really instrumental in helping me find how I land in on the stage and how I just show up really authentically who I am. And so I'm excited that she'll be joining us. So a little bit, if you're new to me, I'm Cami Guildner. I am obsessed with women's voices and helping women be seen and be heard. I am on a mission to raise up 1 million women's voices around the world and help them really create businesses that they love. And I hope that I can really inspire you today and help you find, that your voice and what you're wanting to be putting out, what you want to be putting out into the world, and just really help you come into the soul of who you are as you're speaking and put your message out into the world. So that's where we are going. So today we're going to talk about how to get booked more often and turn speaking into one of your best client attraction tools, and then how to authentically sell from the stage. It's like, how do you do it in a way that people connect with you and relate with you and want to be a part of your world? And I think that's a really important part of this. Is like, how do you authentically sell from the stage? We're going to be talking about your signature story, how you're bringing your story to life, because that's one of the best ways that you can really attract clients into your world and where they can really resonate with you, because it's when you bring your story to life, people are feeling that, right? They want to be a part of that. And yeah, so we'll be talking about signature stories. And then we're going to talk about how do you really embody your presence and embody your message and do it in a way that keeps you aligned to who you are and what you're bringing out into the world. So that's the journey that we're going on today. And I'm excited to take you there. So first of all, remember, visibility is the fire in your growth. So no matter how you're getting visible, whether it's on podcasts, whether it's on stages, what's that visibility approach that you're putting out into the world so that you're landing on more stages and putting yourself out in bigger ways? That's where you get the fire in your growth. And it becomes a really intricate part of your marketing ecosystem. I will touch base on a marketing ecosystem very briefly today, because we're going to spend most of our time talking about stages. But stages are an intricate part of your marketing ecosystem. And really, this visibility part is the fire that makes it all happen. It's like, after you have the right messaging, all the right messaging that you're taking out into the world, you have the right packaging, the right pricing, the visibility is the piece that really helps you shine brightly. So my journey to stages, I thought I'd start with this because it's always fun to just tune into the journey that I've been on when it comes to stages. When I was in the corporate world 17, 18 years ago, I did a lot of training of other people on stages. In fact, we had a thought leadership program that we took about 150 people through a year-long program that was about being on stages. It was about thought leadership and being on the media. And it was a great opportunity to take all those people through it. I love teaching people to be, how do they find their message? How do they show up? So this was an intricate part of me. But then I started my business 15 years ago. And luckily at that time, I had a business coach who said to me, she says, the fastest way to grow your business is to get on stages. Well, here was the story for me, was I was terrified of being on stages. I had actually gotten on a stage in my corporate world in front of 200 women, and I had totally just flopped. I got there, my knees were shaking, my voice was shaking. It was content that I knew. It was talking about brand. We had just gone through a whole rebrand of our company 2 times in a row, actually, because of some acquisitions and some different things that were happening. So we did 2 back-to-back brand rebrandings, and I knew the topic really well. And as I walked to the front of the room, my voice gave way. It did not, I couldn't find my voice, and my knees were shaky, and it was the worst 30 minutes of my life. It was horrible being up there trying to find my voice and not finding it on a topic that I knew, near and dear to my heart. So fast forward, as I was sitting with my business coach, as I was starting my business 15 years ago, she tells me the fastest way to grow your business is to get on stages. And I'm like, no, not me. I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to speak in a different way. I'm going to grow my business in a different way. I'm not going to do stages. And so as I did. I went about trying to grow my business in different ways. And at one point I got really clear about what my vision was for my business. And it was the impacting 1 million women around the world to raise up their voice and their visibility and grow their businesses. As I got clear about that, I was like, I'm not going to do that one person at a time. And so I was like, okay, I need to shift this up. I need to change my mindset around this. And so a couple things really helped me. First of all, I met someone named Matthew Taylor who was teaching storytelling. I went to his class on teaching storytelling, and I realized how much I love to tell stories. That was really fun. So we went through this 4-week class. At the end of the class, I had to get up in front of a group of people and tell a story. And it was like, oh, that was kind of fun. And so that was the first clue that was like something was going to, happen there, that something that was working that way for me. It was like, okay, this is starting to shift things for me. And then I did some other speaker trainings. I went through some different speaker trainings and started to find my stories and bring my voice to life, and started to get on some stages. And then I met my dear friend Paula Friedland, who you'll meet later on in this time that we had together. And she taught a body of work called Soul Speaks. And Soul Speaks was a way that we can really learn to speak from our soul instead of from our head. And so that was one of my first things that really started to show up for me was, okay, this is a shift where I learned to start to embody my message, to let my message come from within versus try to be up in my head about it. And Rachel Jane Groover, if you know her, she talks about, the story bubble that will be up above our head. That was kind of where I was originally. And then eventually with the Soul Speaks work, I really learned to drop into my body. And that was really powerful. So today I have been on stages, around the globe. I have done, I love speaking. I love to be on stages. I have my own event. And what it's done for my business is I host my own event called Extraordinary Women Ignite. This will be my 11th year of doing Ignite in November. So if you want to know more about Ignite, check out my website. But it is an amazing event that generates over 6 figures into my big business on a regular basis. So that is one way that I'm bringing business into, new clients into my business, is by my Ignite conference. I have sold over the years, I have sold over $1 million from stages. And that's, I'm really proud of that, given where I started, knowing that I was so afraid of jumping on a stage. That was such a revelation for me. It's like, this has been an intricate part of my growth. And it's also helped me really build community of extraordinary women that I really know and love. So that's what stages have done for my business. And I know that this can do for your business as well. So, and, even if you are, so the goal that you want to really do here, what we're going to focus on today, is to land more stages and attract high value clients by raising your voice and embodying your presence, embodying your message, and sharing that message that only you can deliver. So that's where we're going today. And We're going to learn we're going to talk about creating unforgettable talks with presence and embodiment and a message that really magnetizes your dream clients into your business. So you guys ready for this? If you really want to be speaking and on stages, just type into the chat, say stages. Let's see some stages show up. Who's excited for stages? Yeah, Betsy's excited. Carly, Sylvia, yes, awesome. I love seeing this. This is awesome. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to get you guys on more stages. This is one of my clients, Shelly Johnson, and it was really fun watching her journey as she really grew her business and her revenue by 220%. By getting clear with her messaging and landing on a lot of big stages and having fun doing it. So she's really grown her business in a great way around that. So I like to share those stories. So my goal here is to really uplift every woman in this room. And I also want to earn the right to continue this journey with you as your mentor and your guide. And there's going to be a couple of ways that we can talk about that as we get deeper into this call. I'll share some of the ways that you can come work with me. You can work with Paula, who will be joining us later, and you can learn some more about that. So landing stages that build your business. And this is what what we're going to get into here is what it really takes to get booked and then stay booked. It's like consistently getting booked. And I'd love to know, was anybody on the roundtable that I did earlier this month when I brought in several other people that were doing a lot of stages? If you were, just drop into the chat. I was there. I don't know if we've got any crossover in these two events or not. But I had so Sylvia was there. I had 3 very prominent speaker trainers that were joining us earlier there. Tamara was there. And one of and across the board, when I asked this question, what are you doing to land on stages? Every single one of them said it was by the connections that they had, and it was all of the relationships that they built. So that's just a little hint of where we're going to go with this. But why speaking really works for you is that it positions you as a trusted authority. So this is one of the reasons I love speaking, is because the more you are on stages, the more you become that trusted authority, that a person that they think of for that next thing. For when they're looking for their next speaker, if they've seen you, they're thinking of you again. And it starts to build deep, lasting relationships, with the event managers, but also the people in the room. And it brings clients in the doors without chasing, right? So it's a way to just really connect and let people know who you are. And and so I love seeing that there were so many of you that were there. Some of you caught the recording of that. And they were an amazing group. And so these are some things that, why speaking works is it's like it builds a deeper relationship with people. And did you know that 65% of speaker bookings come through referrals or someone It's like somebody is in your community. This comes from Speaker Flow. This came back. So all day long, what you want to really be doing is getting booked through relationships. Speaking as a relationship business, and it's a way for you to be able to connect and be in community with others. And it's when you are building relationships. So every time you are out and you go to a networking event, or if you go out and you go to, you go to a conference, you're meeting new people and you're opening up the door to new relationships. And once people know that you're a speaker, they'll start to say, oh, that person, I want to know more about what that person speaks about. And you go beyond a stage, and then the speaking community can be really tight, and somebody will say, they'll tell their friend, I need a speaker for this upcoming event. And people are saying, oh, here's some people that you should know. So all day long, being out, being in relationship with others, knowing who is hosting events, building those relationships with people is the number one thing that you can do to get booked. And so you want to get into the rooms, right? You want to get into the rooms that you want to speak in, attend those events, connect with the people, offer to help, look for ways for you to engage with speakers all day long. That will open up the door to more speaking engagements. And then beyond the relationships, there's some things that you can do. So you can start to look at associations and industry conferences. You can look at corporation conferences or inner groups, like inner women's leaderships groups within an organization. If you really want to be, if you want to be out on the go, being a speaker a lot, I'd say get involved with the National Speaker Association. I think that organization is one that can put you on a lot of stages because, again, you're in community with other speakers and they're sharing, oh gosh, this event is coming up. Who else do you know that would be a speaker for that? They're going to pull from their community. So that's a really good thing. You can start to Google call for speakers or start to look at regional organizations and start to say, what are the different, what are the different, hold on, I'm just sorry about this. Sorry about that. I was getting a message from Paula and I just wanted to make sure it was what we needed here. So anyway, you can Google call for speakers or and start to look for, where are the places that speakers are being sought after. And so there's all these different approaches that you can start to look, but all day long, it's going to go back to where are the relationships that you have? Where are the people who are booking speakers? Make relationships with those people, make friends with those people. So the other thing is, start where you're at. You can always host your own event. This is a place that I obviously started all those years back. And as I go back to that time when I was first starting, I started hosting just some small events, right? I started going to my local chamber and I was part of the chamber and I would be a speaker at that. So I would start small. I would host a workshop on something that I was teaching and it gave me stage time to start to really practice and be in that space. Podcasts are a fantastic way to really develop your message and tell your stories because you're on repeat with so much of that. So if you're a guest podcasting or if you're doing your own podcast, it's a good way to just be in your voice, share your stories. So that's another a good place to start. And then use every stage that you've got, whether it's a big stage or a large stage, to just really refine your message. Know that it's always your message is always evolving and it's always changing up. And it's the way that you really want to, don't ever think of, oh, this is just a small stage. All you need in that room is one person that is like your ideal client that's going to come work with you. So it might be in that small room and it might be in the big room. You don't ever know where that is. So just approach every stage with all of you. Just bring all of you to the table. So starting to turn your talk into clients, couple ways. There's a couple ways you can do this, right? So I really focus on the invitation from the stage. This is something that I was very fortunate to learn early on in my business. You can do the keynote speaker as well. I will tell you, I have made way more money doing invitations from stages than I would have ever made as a keynote speaker. If you go back to, remember, I've made over $1 million. I've sold over $1 million from the stages, and it's never been from a keynote speaker. It's always been from an invitation from the stage. So think of it from that perspective, is that you can invite people into your programs. And that's really what I'm going to spend time focused on today, is that invitation from the stage. As you are making invitations, you're really, and I'll talk about the order that you would want to do this in, but you're really approaching this from a point of service. You're there, you're showing up for your ideal clients in the room. Every person in the room, you're there to help them walk away with something. And that's the goal, is to really move each person that's in the room in whatever space that they're in. So you're really showing up as in service to that group of people, not in pressure. You're not trying to like sell. And you've been in rooms where it's really salesy and it doesn't feel good. So you want to speak from service. You want to invite into your programs with clarity and confidence. You want to know that your programs make a difference. So really feel into, when somebody's coming into your business, how is it going to make a difference for them when they do? And know what you want before you step onto the stage. So you're really on that space of, You know, what's the out, what do you want them to do when you step onto that stage? So several things that you can do when you're making an invitation. You can have time with you. It can be a strategy session, or it can be a product that you're going to be selling them into. It might be, I often will say, make it a time limit bonus. If you sign up today, you're going to get this kind of a bonus associated with signing up today. You can do limiters for the first 3 people that sign up today. You're going to get this extra bonus because it gets the room to move, and that's an important part of that. And have it make it easy for people to complete and to join you. So it can be with a QC code. If you're, if you're doing stages. When I do my Ignite conference, we literally hand people a packet, and we're handing it to them with such care and as an invitation. And there's somebody at the back of the room really helping pass that all out. So it becomes a ritual almost of an invitation of somebody coming into the room. So you can have that spectrum from as basic as a QC code to handing something to somebody in person. But either way, you want to make it simple and easy for people to join you. And as you're building, I talk about this know, love, and trust. And so it's like, you're building know, love, and trust as somebody comes into your world. That's what my marketing ecosystems are built on. That know, love, and trust, that people really, they know what you do, they love what your work is, and they trust you. And an important part of this. So you have to earn that trust. And in earning that trust, if you are extending an invitation to somebody from the stage, these are some general guidelines to work with. If you're doing a 30-minute or less talk, you definitely want to have just a free offer. You haven't earned the know, love, and trust to extend it something beyond that. For an hour-long talk, you get an hour, you're kind of workshopping with them. You get an opportunity to go deeper with them. You can do a free talk. You can do something in the $99 to $500-ish range. If you've been really good at this and have done this for a long time, you might be able to sell up to like a $2,000 product, in an hour-long talk. In a half day, most people can sell like a free to $1,000 offer. They get, they spend a half day with you. They've got more time to know, love, and trust you. You can go up to 1,000. If you've been doing this for a long time, you might be able to sell a $10,000 offer. One day, I'd say up to 5,000. If you're really good at it, 20,000. 2 to 3 days. If you got a 2 to 3 day conference with them, it can be up to $20,000. It can be up to $100,000 if you're really good at this. So this just gives you some frameworks. These are guidelines. But the point is that before you extend a dollar offer to somebody, you want to build that know, love, and trust with them. And that's an important part of this. And as you dive into your invitation, what you're going to do is, I'm going to walk you through each one of these stages here. First of all, you're setting the stage. You've been doing the training. You've told your story. You've been doing the training. What you're going to start to bring in as you get to the offer part of your invitation is you're going to bring some testimonials in. Let people see what happens when people work with you. It might be somebody live. It might be just a slide that says, this is what happened for a client. Invite them to think about where they started in this journey, in this training that you've been doing with them, and what's the learning that they've gathered. They've come on this journey with you so far, whether it's been in a 20-minute talk or whether it's been in a 1-day talk workshop. So it's like, what's that journey that they've been on? And help them to start to imagine what else is possible. So you're helping them see that gap, what else is possible for them, and let them dream a little bit. Let them feel into what they're really desiring. And then start to say, okay, the next step looks like this. You start to move into an invitation to join there. And this is where you're really starting to bridge where they're going. It's like you're here and you're going to this new place. So you're going there. And then you get into the details of what you're offering, right? You're getting into like, here's the very specifics. This is the investment levels. This is, the bonuses. Here's, you're handing people a way to sign up with you, either with a QC code or with, actually handing something to somebody. And then there's a final invitation. This is for you. If you'd like to join us, this is where we're going. We'd love to have you join us. In a 5 to 10 In a 1 hour talk, you want this would take about 5 to 10 minutes. And what I don't want you to do is run out of time. And that happens to people often is they will run out of time when they're doing this sort of thing. So make sure that you're allowing that space in your talk. And so if it's a 1 hour talk, 5 to 10 minutes is kind of where you'd want to give yourself an allotment of that. And there's nothing wrong with the 5 minute invitation. In fact, I actually prefer that than rather than going deep into like there's a lot of modeling out there that I've learned over the years that at some point I actually started throwing out a lot of the shoulds because it didn't feel aligned with me. So like for example, a lot of people will teach in this final invitation, they'll say, this is not for you if. And I don't do that. It doesn't feel aligned to me. And it feels so to me, what I would say is once you start to find a rhythm in extending an invitation, feel into what feels good for you. You've got this pathway that you're taking them on. You're helping them imagine, you're helping them see, where they are right now, where they want to go. But really find a way to make it your own, because this is a space where I often will see people kind of shut down a little bit, where they're like, oh, I'm getting into the invitation and it feels a little bit scary, and their voice changes and that sort of thing. And what I'm going to invite you to do is to even sink more deeply into, this is the work you do. It makes a difference. And you want to be able to invite people into your world and experience it. And really feel into what will be the outcomes, the difference that will happen for the people coming into your world, that this is a fit for. You're not trying to make a hard, sleazy kind of sell. What you're doing is you're opening up to an invitation. Come work with me. And that's really what that is. So, and it can be something as simple as, if you're in a 1 hour talk, it might be something as simple as download this workbook. This workbook is going to be amazing for you. Explain the benefit of it, right? Let them understand that. So that's, think about it from that perspective, is this is an invitation into your magic, into your work. And then make sure that you've built that follow-up flow. That's an important piece of this, because as somebody is coming into your business, this may be the first time that they've got to see you, right? So you definitely want to get their email, and you want to have that automated follow-up on the backside of it, whether, they're getting a link, they're getting an ebook, but it's like you're inviting them in and you want to continue to nurture that relationship. And I'll talk a little bit in a minute here about I'll talk a little bit about why, it's the ecosystem that we're creating. But really what you're wanting to do at this point is make sure that you're getting them into your system. And then if you have an opportunity to personally connect with your high potential leads, I highly, highly recommend that. I can tell you that I'm really pretty good at reaching out, and you guys have probably seen, I've been in your DMs because I want to know who you are. I want to know what your work is about. And I want to know what you're taking away from trainings that I'm offering. And I want to know how you're applying this in your business, because this starts a conversation, right? And this is really what you want to be doing when you are getting onto stage, is continuing that conversation after that point. It's a one point when you're on the stage for, if you're on the stage for 20 minutes to an hour, whatever that is, you want that relationship to be carried on even further. So that's an important part of this. And so you're just keeping those conversations going up, and then keeping them in regular conversations, even more important, right? It's like, it's that upfront quick conversation that you start, but then it's what's the continued conversations that you have. Okay, so this is my know, love, and trust marketing ecosystem, and I'm not going to stay on this very long, but it's an important part of why speaking is so important in our businesses and why it works so well. And I don't talk about building marketing funnels with my clients. I talk about building a marketing ecosystem. And so it's, as you can see, it's a know, love, and trust. And when you are tapping into other people's audiences, they're just getting to know you. And you've got a group of people who already know, love, and trust you. This is the base of your ecosystem. This is people who have already you've been in conversations with, they've been at your events, they're in your communities. they're in your email list. This is a place where you're building real relationships, deeper relationships with people who already know, love, and trust you. And then in the middle, we've got the love. This is where you will bring your education to. You might be doing a webinar just like this, right? It might be something like a YouTube or a live stream. It might be some organic social with your people, and you're having, deeper relationships and conversations with people. So when you look at your marketing ecosystem, speaking falls in this part of it. Other people's audiences. You are tapping into other people's audiences, unless it's your own stage. But if you're going to speak at an event somewhere, you're tapping into other people's audiences, and you want to give them a place where they can get to know you more, so they can start to fall in love with your work. So this is why when you're building an ecosystem, the stage is the first part of it, but the next phase is keeping them engaged in your work. So having an opportunity for people to go deeper into your work. And that's where, what are you doing here to keep people coming back into your conversations with you? And then as they get deeper into your conversations with you, they already know, love, and trust you. You can still invite them back into your educational pieces. So it becomes this ecosystem. So this is something that I teach in my communities, and I'll talk at the very end of this. You can grab a prosperity audit with me if you want to look at your marketing ecosystem and just how you can tweak that to make that work more for you. But I think it's an important piece to bring up here, because it's like, what are you doing with your speaking, right? What are you doing with your speaking? Once you're there, you want to give them opportunities to do more work with you. Okay, next part, signature stories. Let me take a sip of tea here. Signature stories are so much fun. I love helping people that tap into their signature stories, because when somebody has a signature story, that story that is yours and uniquely yours, you're really helping your audience feel you, right? They're tuning into your stories, your life. You're really they can resonate with you, because they like, oh my gosh, they're like me. They're someone like me. And so, and you're memorable because of stories, right? I think that's another part of it. You're really building that know, love, and trust factor, because so you could have the most perfect pitch and perfect presentation. And I'm not a fan of perfect presentations. I don't feel the soul in perfect presentations. I want someone that I feel their soul. I want to hear their stories. I want to know who they are when they're on a stage. And that's what you're wanting to create. So all day long, I'll tell you that presence is going to help you people are going to feel you, and they're going to lean in, and they want to know more about your work. And it's going to create connection through shared experiences. Your story becomes their reflection, right? So that's why stories really matter. So I want you to think about the stories of your life. You've got, in any given year, you're going to have hundreds of stories of your life. Over the course of your lifetime, you're going to have, probably thousands of stories over your life. And so there's all these stories. One of the things I love I want you to think about is we fall in love with souls and not faces, right? So all day long, it's like people are feeling you. That's where people are leaning in. And your stories are a window to your soul, right? So let's look at, your life story titles. I want you to think about, and you guys can drop these into the chat. Start to think about some story titles. So when I start to think about the story titles for me, I can go to, I'll just name off a few of them. A time when a horse's breath changed the trajectory of my life. I told you one earlier, the time of failing in the stage when I was in the corporate world, and then finding my pathway into speaking. That's one of my story titles. I can talk about the owl story, like OWL, the owl story. I've told that story. I can talk about the time that I landed a hot air balloon after the pilot fell out. So I have life stories over the course, and that is a true story, by the way. So I want to hear from you guys in the chat here. Let's hear a few of your life story titles that can, just things that have happened in your life that have been really memorable, So let's see some story titles drop in. I'm thinking you guys are typing. So what's a life story title? A life of service, military family people. So go, Jessica, what I would invite you to do, or who, no, it was Renita that said that. What I would say, Renita, is like go to a specific moment, right? With that. It's like go to a specific time that life of service. Like what was a specific time? Yeah, Jessica, yours it can be trauma focused. It's totally okay, right? And I'm going to talk about why, trauma can be, because what you're going to start with in a story is something that is not working, and what's the breakthrough on the other side of it, right? Comparison is the thief of joy. So Betsy, is there a specific moment in time where that is a place where you can go back to? That's a question I have for you. Rope swing gone wrong. See, that one's got me intrigued. I'm like, I wonder what that might be, right? It's skipping here. Laid off 4 times in 12 years. Now a recruiter to place experienced professionals. Yeah. So if like you could pick one of those moments, it's like this is my 4th time I've gotten laid off. And that could be the moment that you start with, right? So the day I fired 10 macho men. Yeah, I want to hear that one, right? Job loss turned into a powerful pivot. Absolutely. Those are definitely ones. I've got a story like that one. Moving from Colorado ski resort to New York City to attend fashion school. Oh, I love that. That makes me intrigued, Sylvia. DC to LA, 24 hours that changed my life. Yes, exactly. Getting fired was the best thing to happen to me. Exactly. So you guys are starting to get, as a mother of the groom, I own my sass, no comparison. Yeah. Awesome. So becoming a mom at 5 years old. Oh my. Yeah. So losing my singing voice. And yes, Paula, that's a really fantastic one. I've heard that story and it's amazing. In order to find my mission to help others find their voices. So you guys have got it. So this is what you're starting to get to. So what I would recommend is you start creating a journal of your life story titles. Just start, spend like 30 minutes and just write down all the different stories that you can think of. And that's a really good place for you to start to just find this new foundation of tuning into, what are the stories that I might tell? And then of course, then you got to start to think which is the right story for you to tell? And, sometimes it's going to be the stories that you never thought you'd tell in public. There might be the ones that make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. You definitely want to have a story that has a common plight with your audience so that you're creating some connection and some relationship with the people. That's part of the reason I tell the story of my fear of speaking is because, fear of speaking is something that so many people have. I got through it. I got through to the other side. You don't want to tell the story that you're living in right now, like the trauma that you're living in right now. You want to have gotten through to the other side. And the other question to think about here is, does the story arc lead them to your solution, your offers? That's an important part of choosing the right story. So when I'm starting to pick stories for something, I really start with that end in mind. I start, what is it that I want people to think and act and do differently after they've heard me speak? So I think about what's the story that's going to lead them there? Who's the audience that's in the room? What do they need to know? What don't they know already? What do they want to know? I'll think about what my key messages are and what people need to know and remember and understand. And then we'll get into, what am I going to offer? What am I going to extend an invitation into? And at the end of my talk, and then what's the story that's going to help support that? So just think about it. You might even take a picture of that slide because it gives you a way to start to narrow down which are the right stories for you to bring into the mix of this. So things to remember about your signature talk. Be vulnerable and really bring emotion to it. They want to know how you feel, your opinion, and your story, but take out the backstory. And one of the things I love to help my clients do is like land in the moment. Like, what was that moment? where you were like, oh my gosh, everything changed for me. And I'm going to give you a couple examples here and just a little bit of some like strong story openers. It's about letting them know who you are. So like people can start to feel you, as to help them remember you. You think about the stories you've heard in your lifetime when people have been on a stage. You always remember the stories over the teachings. I mean, there might be a teaching point that drops out and it's like, oh yes, that was a really important quote that I need to remember. But all day long, the stories will help you connect and remember with your audience more than anything else. And it's going to create that know, love, and trust component and that common plight connection. It's like, oh my gosh, she gets me. She's been there. And it has it has that link back to what you're selling. So that's the important parts about your signature talk, your signature story. And it helps paint that picture, bring them into the scene and help them feel what that time was like, right? When I tell the story of my horse's breath, transforming my life. It was like a day. I tell the story of walking through 18 inches of snow and walking up to the barn, and there's my horse and she's got frost on her whiskers. I mean, I tell that level of detail, and that brings people into the, like people can feel it. They know what it's like, right? So that is that. So when you're picking when you pick your story, what you need to have, what you want to have as part of that, you're going to have a crisis or challenge up front. So that's the first part of it, right? It's like there was this moment where things, and you guys have been, all these different chats that, like you go back to, say, we'll just take Jessica Milleheiser, the 24 hours that changed my life. She would pick a moment where there was a crisis that was happening right there, right? And then what was the defining moment that broke it through to what's next? And then what were the results and success of that? One of you had the whole thing about losing your job. Like there was a moment on that day that you lost your job, you learned something, and this was the results and the outcome of that. So this becomes the components of your signature story. So a powerful story beginning, and this is going to be fun because I want to show you. Let me do this. Okay, so I want to start with a powerful story opening.
When I was a cowboy and my sister was an Indian, we were on our ponies on our way to our fort on our beautiful property in the mountains where we grew up.
So you guys, are you starting to lean into when I was a cowgirl and my sister was an Indian? Just drop a yes into the chat if you felt Cindy in that moment, right? You can feel that moment. Okay, here's another one, another powerful start. This is Dana.
I was a spy for the United States of America. My boyfriend, who's known me for 27 years and just found this out about me, has started calling me Natasha.
Right? Is that not good, Betsy? I love that one too. I love that one. Does that get you going? Does that get you leaning in? Right? I love it. Here's another one. This is Tara.
It was July, and I sat on my living room floor, shattered in a million pieces. I didn't know who I was. My career was falling down around me. And I was like, what happened?
There we go. So as you can see, a powerful story beginning gets you leaning in right away, right? That's what you want. You want something that hooks people in and gets people leaning in and wanting to know more of the story. And I think all three of those, you weren't feeling the first two, but you can relate to the last one. Yeah. And it's like, and that's the point too, I think, Maggie, is that not everybody's going to resonate with every single story, but the people that you want to resonate resonate with your work. That's exactly, it's like you're wanting to meet people where they're at, right? So it's definitely, yeah, exactly. It depends on what you're going through personally. And so knowing that is an important part of that. So when you're thinking about developing your speaking to sell talk, you're going to have I like to open with a signature story, have this powerful opening. Like nothing is more powerful than walking on a stage and having like a moment that just draws people in. You're telling that story. You're letting people feel into that. You tell them what's in it for them. You do your teachings, you do your invitation, and you do a powerful close. So just think about it. You're taking them on a journey, and you can move things around. Sometimes you can start it with what's in it for me and then move into the story and then to the teaching points. You can have many stories in the teaching points. Like that can be a powerful way to do it as well. And sometimes people will move the invitation in between 3 and 2. So it's just, there's, multiple ways you can do it, but they just kind of know that's the arc way that you're taking people on. This is Ruth Kent, and it's been really fun seeing her business grow this past year. Her business grew over 32% last year, and it was from getting on stages. It was because she was getting on stages and she was working through the relationships, and it was like being seen, being heard. She was inviting people into something, and then she was building the ecosystem on the inside of her business. And she really grew her business a lot, and it's continuing to grow right now. It's really fun seeing that happen. Okay, so now we're going to get into your embodied presence. And this is where we start to getting into speaking from the soul and starting to think about how you embody your words. And I'll tell you, storytelling all day long is one of the fastest ways to get into embodying your message, because you know your stories. That's the beautiful thing about storytelling is your stories, and you get to bring that to life. So that's what when you embody your message in your presence, you become very unforgettable. People lean in, they remember you. Your presence is felt before you ever even speak in a room. And your audience really responds to how you're showing up, not just what you're saying. So this is the difference when you do that. And I think as women, we have this huge advantage. We're the rooted flame. We have this, when you're on a speaking journey, you might walk in with some limiting beliefs, and we need to shed those. We need to let those go and start. And that with practice, that's going to come. And you start to gain some confidence, and you find strength and power in how you're showing up, but you can still be projecting. And this is an important piece, is you can have some confidence, but you can still be projecting. You can be talking from that head bubble. You're not necessarily embodying your message. When you get to the next level, when you embody your message, when you embody how you're walking onto a stage, this is where you start to bring that beacon of light that you are, and you get to become that movement maker that you are. And this is the act of getting into really speaking from your soul, embodying your message, and owning what it is that you stand for. Your story can be an intricate part of that, and your teachings become an intricate part of that. So that's how you become a movement. So I call that your rooted flame. And the reason I call it your rooted flame is because you're very grounded. You're like grounded deep, like really grounded, but your light is shining bright. It's like you've got wings coming out of the back of your back. It's like the whole light of you. And there's a lot of work that I like to do when we teach Soul Speaks, and I'm going to bring Paula on here in a moment. But when we teach Soul Speaks, where we're just really opening up energetically to what our message is and what we stand for. And that's really powerful. So with that, I would like to bring Paula on, and let me introduce Paula to you. Paula is a counselor, a certified coach, a public speaker, and a trainer for the past 20 years. She works with people one-on-one and in groups to help them create lives that are truly meaningful, fulfilling, and connected to what really matters to them. She teaches public speaking through an approach called Soul Speaks. And I mentioned Soul Speaks early on because it was today, because it was something that really helped me. And there was a point where I reached out to Paula and said, I think Soul Speaks was so useful for me. I really want to bring this into my mastermind community so that my clients get to experience it. One of her passions and specialty areas is helping people break free from their fears around public speaking so that they can find their true voice and become authentic, powerful speakers in all areas of their lives. But what I'll say about Soul Speaks is not about just for beginner speakers, because we've had speakers who earn $20,000 a talk come through our Soul Speaks training. And they say that and you'll hear from this person here in just a little bit, she'll never do speaking the same, because she changed up how she was speaking from her soul versus her head. And for Paula, before entering the counseling coaching field, Paula spent 13 years as an actress and singer pursuing theater in New York City. And she brings the creativity and passion from her years in the theater to all of her current work with people today. This year, she launched her one-woman show called Collecting Myself. And oh my gosh, it was amazing. So Paula, Jessica, are you bringing her on, or how are we bringing Paula on?
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. There you are.
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Cool. Yeah, I can see you. And can everybody else see Paula? Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
good. Good.
Hi, Betsy.
Excellent. Okay. So Paula, why don't you share? I'm going to actually just shut down the PowerPoint right now. Let me do that. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. Stop share. Okay. So yeah, why don't you, Soul Speaks has been such an intricate part of, for me, it was really, really useful. It's something that helped me come into my own speaking strength and power and embodiment. And so, as I mentioned, it's what I wanted my clients to experience that as well. So what I'd love for you to do for our audience today is bring some just really wonderful tips that you teach in Soul Speaks that helps people embody and show up and speak from their soul.
Mhm. Okay. My favorite subject. So thanks,
Yeah.
Kelly.
Yeah.
All your information is amazing, and I'm going to reference it through the lens of Soul Speaks. So I co-founded Soul Speaks 20 some years ago with my colleague and friend Lizanne Corbett, and she has since moved on, but I'm still doing Soul Speaks groups. We have a lot of Soul Speaks junkies because it's such a continued practice. It's not something where you learn this technique and then you never do anything again. You graduate. It just always keeps building on itself, and I'll talk about what it is exactly. But it's really it's a practice of authenticity, and Cami talked about embodied presence. If you think about what is presence, and you have to be embodied. She talked about forget what the phrase was, that people feel your presence before you even speak, and that doesn't come from putting something on and being on and perfect and presentational. In fact, that's a turnoff for almost everyone I've ever met, because what we're looking for in a speaker or any kind of a leader or a thought leader or whatever it might be is a combination of vulnerability and expertise. And so you're not supposed to go in and be presentational and being this, person that people maybe they admire, but they can't really relate to. So they're not going to really enroll in whatever it is that you're wanting them to get. And I'll tell a little of my own story quickly that, I've been an actress my whole life, really comfortable on the stage when I was playing a role. But when it came to the role of just me, I would get nervous even, and I still get nervous. I mean, even before talking here, I get nervous. And, I'll just throw this in that one of the big things we help people really get a practice of is you bring the fear with you. How many of you have ever tried to get rid of the fear?
Doesn't work.
That'll work for you. It doesn't work. It's like pushing a ball down in the water. It just comes back more volatile, or it's your whole time is spent trying to keep the ball down, keep your fear down. And so let's just bring it with us and speak anyway and connect. With this thing, I'll talk about relational presence, which is you're present to yourself first. Like right now, just feel your presence inside your body, first of all. And then from that place, feel your connection with the others on the call. That's what we want. But if you're not present to yourself first, how can you be present to anyone else? And if you're not feeling comfortable in your skin, you can't exude any kind of authenticity or authority then, because that's how we build that trust that Cammie's been talking about. So like I was saying, I'll go back to this, that I was, just love the stage. One of my favorite places to be. I could be loud and express myself. But when it came time to even introducing myself at something like this, or in a mastermind group, or in a networking situation, my heart would start to beat really fast. And I started thinking, I have to plan what I'm going to say. And what if I don't say it right? And, are they really going to get me? And my voice is going to quiver. And now where am I? In my head, And so I decided I'm sick of that. And I found this thing called speaking circles, which Soul Seeks is based on. And I took this training, and it was based on this thing called relational presence, where you're with one person at a time when you're speaking. Always one person and only one person. So then it's all just a series of one-on-one conversations. And I learned this approach, and I loved it because I could bring the fear with me, and I could access who I really was. And so I took that, and Lizanne and I put our own spin on it, deepened the practice a bit, and that's how Soul Speaks was born. And it's this thing of it's not a technique. I'm sure how many of you have taken speaker trainings or other kinds of trainings, or Toastmasters? And Toastmasters is a great organization, but it doesn't really focus on authenticity. It focuses on the content and speeches, which are important. But if you don't have the authenticity, it doesn't matter what you say. People aren't really going to get it. You could have the most polished speech in the world, and people are going to be, they're certainly not going to remember you. And so it's this weird concept that we have to practice being ourselves. It's dorky. But we do, because all of our lives we get all this crap put on top of us. We're supposed to be this way. We're too much of this. We're not enough. Whatever those things are, those messages, and they're all piled on top of us. In Soul Speaks, we take all that off. We take everything off. It's the anti-technique. And then it's about starting with that relational presence to self first, and then your audience. Authenticity is everything. And going back to what Cammie was saying, Soul Speaks from the Stage, which is our collaborative effort that we've been doing for, 7 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
We never remember, but it's for all levels of speakers, whether you're terrified and you never even raised your hand in class, or you are, like Cammie said, a professional speaker making thousands of dollars. You may still be putting something on, presentational, versus just being yourself. That's what people want. So whatever level you are, you will move to the next level. And so you may feel okay speaking, but ask yourself these questions. Are you connected to yourself? Are you really connected to the people in your audience? Do you really see them? Because if you don't, they're not seeing you. When they feel seen by you, when you're on the stage, they're like, sign me up. She sees me, right? And so this is the whole practice of Soul Speaks, is learning how to do that and to be with whatever's there. So if you wake up one morning and you've got some neck problem and you're like, oh, I can't speak today, I've got this neck problem, they're going to think I'm an idiot. Well, who hasn't had a neck problem? So you show up with your neck problem and you're present to every person anyway. And now they relate to you even more because of that vulnerability, and you're speaking through it instead of trying to wait till you're in the perfect shape or readiness or whatever. And that's the other thing in Soul Speaks, is it's about letting the content, the words come through you, learning how to do that. So that means trusting the moment and, being with the people in front of you, and then amazing things start to come through you versus creating your content from here. Because you could be incredibly intelligent and educated and know everything about your subject matter, and it's such an important thing to help people with. But if it's coming from here, people are not going to relate to it. So it's this new practice that we do of helping you get to the place where you're so centered and present that you can trust the words are going to come through you in ways you didn't even know were possible. You could never think your way there, right? And so this thing of public speaking that Cammie's been talking about, how imperative it is to our businesses. I heard Warren Buffett talk about this, that, as an asset, the ability to communicate in public speaking, it will last you like 50 or 60 years. But if it's a liability, because you're not comfortable or able to be yourself, that will also last 50 to 60 years. So which one do you want? And he also talked about, he was petrified of speaking. He said he finally went to a Dale Carnegie class. He was going to sign up for it because he hated speaking, and he got home and he canceled the check. He was so afraid. And then obviously he got over that. He went back and he took that, and he's realized over the years, he talked about how by being really comfortable with speaking to people, you can increase your value, which equates to your revenue and your success by 50%. So that's how big this is, but not just speaking, being. And that's the thing I found out through, me taking speaking circles and learning to just be with my audience and letting the words come versus writing a script, is I wasn't afraid of public speaking. I was afraid of public meeting. And so I wonder if that's true for any of you. It's about being afraid of being yourself. You speak all the time to people, right? But being yourself takes the courage, right? So there were a couple other things I wanted to talk about. The other thing about Soul Speaks from the Stage that makes it so magical and profound is that it's in front of a group, a small, safe group that are all in different levels of the same boat. And that's a beautiful thing that always comes out of these groups, is the connection you feel with the other people there. And you being in the audience to witness other people being themselves is just, people cry all the time watching people become themselves, because that's what they want. So then they are in the same boat. They want to be seen too. And so there's a corrective experience that happens in that group, where you may have trauma around speaking. And by being able to have this safe experience of practice, you can heal, or at least heal the next level in order to be yourself. You can move through trauma. We have seen it in front of our eyes. So that's one end of the spectrum. And then the thing about professional speakers, we've seen people that are, great, but they transform into authentic connectors with people. And then, like I said, we want everything they have to give. So I don't know where I am time-wise, Cami, but Soul
Yeah, let me
Speak
show
very
this. Let me show this video because I think this would be great.
Right.
I think it's
Perfect.
spot on. I think this will just we'll add it on. Let me share. Share sent. Oops, I think I did the I think I shared the wrong screen. I did. There we go. Hey, are you seeing the video? Are you seeing the video?
We're seeing that screenshot of all the people.
My name is Jennifer McNiven, and this is my first time that I have attended Soul Speaks. I've attended a lot of different speaking opportunities, and this one seriously has been one of the best ones that I have ever attended. The reason why is we are literally speaking from the soul. We aren't planning our talks. We aren't having a detailed sequence of how it's supposed to go. We're literally just telling stories to friends. We're doing so on stage, and we're finding that our purpose and our power is becoming more bright than we ever knew that it could be. I have seen so many women shine so bright. I've made some amazing new friends, and I truly believe that Soul Speaks is something that everybody should attend if they're really wanting to share their message with the world. Thanks.
I'm Elizabeth Murphy, and I just experienced the most incredible few days in Soul Speaks from the stage. The amount of openness and women finding their voices in one room in such a short period of time is just miraculous to me. I have enjoyed every second of it, and I can't wait to attend again.
Hey, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Cami and to Paula for a terrific Soul Speaks workshop. This was my first time attending, and I didn't really quite know what I was going to step into, but I was blown away. I am grateful that they created a space where I can not just only unleash, but also harness and develop and grow in my ability to connect with my soul. Totally transformative, completely recommend for women that are looking to not find themselves, but to connect to their voice and to also build the trust that they need to propel them to that next level. So if you're that woman, look no further. Soul Speaks is your jam.
So I came to Soul Speaks pretty much sure that I had it all down anyway, because I am a professional speaker. And let me just tell you, I feel like I've let go of so much and learned so much, but learned it really from my gut, from my heart, from my soul, that it has completely changed the way that I will speak from now on. So no matter what level you're coming in at, as a beginner, I'm terrified to get on stage, or as a professional speaker, Soul Speaks really can move the needle and create a new experience for you and help you become much, much better than you are right now. So I am ever so grateful for this opportunity.
If you're considering wanting to do Soul Speaks, I cannot encourage you enough. This practice has helped me from a stage. It's helped me leading groups as a coach. It's helped me leading groups on Zoom. And it's helped me have one-on-one conversations in my life, in my personal life, that may have been uncomfortable otherwise. To take a deep breath, allow myself to speak from my heart, and trust the words that come out of my mouth. I can't say enough. I hope you'll come next time, and I probably will see you here. Thank you.
So I love these all because they're fun. And I know if you guys are interested in Soul Speaks, we are doing Soul Speaks July 10th through 12th. So just in a little less than a month. This is an opportunity. It's 3 days in Lakewood, Colorado. And and Jill will be there because I think that will be her third or fourth time she's been there. I don't remember. We tend to get people back over and over again because it is such a wonderful experience. And we would love to have you guys join us. It's always so much fun, and you guys are going to
Yeah,
love.
it's fun. It's
Yeah.
fun too. It's not torture. It's fun.
Yeah, it's totally a fun thing. So we would love to have you guys join us. It's 3 days where, you know, we're weaving together the Soul Speaks work that Paula brings. We're weaving together, you know, the business building side of speaking, and you get both sides of it. You're building messaging, you're working on your one message for the world, the big, you know, the big thought leadership messaging, you're building your signature story. You are getting an opportunity to share your story. You'll have an 8-minute time slot on day 3, and you will walk away with a video that is from your talk. So you'll have some video footage of you, and we would love to have you guys. Paula, do you want to add anything else to that?
Just that this is different than any other speaker training you'll get.
Totally. I've been through
it-
lots of speaker trainings, and this is definitely
because it's not about counting how many ums you do, or what to do with your hands, or where to stand, or when to walk. That's all not organic. When you do Soul Speaks, those things start to take care of themselves because you're in an organic space of presence. And then you know how to walk.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so on
Exactly.
stage, it's the same thing. So please come. It's the most transformational thing. Heard some quote the other day. It's not public speaking. It's about transformation, both in your professional life and, as Jill talked about, in other areas of your life. You'll see the difference too in speaking authentically your voice in whatever context that is. So please come. We would just love to have you. It's an amazing experience.
Yeah, and we've got just a couple spots left. So if you're thinking about it, you want to have conversation, let me know. Then the last thing I have for you guys, if you guys want to really look at how you're building your marketing ecosystem that includes speaking and what's the, you know, the back end of all of this, you can grab a prosperity audit with me. If you're really wanting to just look at, even if you're wanting to look at how you're growing your business through speaking, I'm really good at looking at what's working in your business, what tweaks do you need to make. These prosperity audits are just a 15-minute conversation, and then you walk away with a 90-day plan that really helps you step into what it is that you're building in your business. And, you know, speaking is part of that, but it's like, what are the other components of it? So we get into your packaging, your pricing, we get into your voice, your messaging, and then the visibility part of it, how you're getting visible. So those are the opportunities we've got for you guys. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Thank you, Paula, for joining us today and sharing your wisdom on Soul Speaks. I think it's brilliant work, and I can't wait to be joining all those who are joining us for Soul Speaks in just a few weeks. And it's like our favorite thing all year long. We have a blast with it, and you know, Paula and I sit at the back of the room. We're like, oh my God, all of them. You know, it's like what happens, and there's tears, there's joy, there's just wonder that happens in the world because it's women raising up their voices, being seen, being heard. And Paula, you named the word, I think, when you talked about witnessing. I think that's a big piece of this. I heard that recently. It's like when we can get visible all day long, but being witnessed is an important part of it. And letting that essence, that light of who you are come to life is what is your magic, is bringing that to life. And it's what's going to grow your business. So thanks everyone.
I might say.
Yeah, totally. So thanks everyone for joining us today. And I hope to see some of you at Soul Speaks. Talk to you later. Bye.
Cami, thank you.
Thank you, Paula.